Hello everybody, Squirrelface here, back with another review. This time it's for a movie that's much more appropriate and more well suited to my channel. Um, this one makes a lot more sense. This one is a new release by the company Unearthed Films, so you already know what type of movie this is going to be. And the movie is called Atroz, which is Spanish for atrocious. And it's what this movie is. It's a Spanish movie. It's from Mexico. One of the few movies I've actually ever seen from Mexico. Um, and on the cover, it has Ruggero Deodato's name, the director of Cannibal Holocaust, because he's one of the producers of some sort. It's not hard to see why. This movie is about a couple of serial killers who get into a bad car accident, and once they're in that accident, the cops come and they seize a camera and tapes, and the tapes are these serial killers' activities, basically them killing people and filming it for fun. So it's not actual snuff, but I'm gonna call it snuff to make it easier. Um, Definitely one of those found footage films of people torturing the shit out of people. So I'm gonna call it a somewhat of a fake snuff movie, but I really didn't feel like they had that August Underground vibe. Indeed, one of the scenes was very much August Underground esque. I heard Mr. Parka, another YouTube reviewer, describe it as, which is definitely very true. And there were definitely other scenes that reminded me of other movies, like the scene that reminded me of Cannibal. There's a scene that reminded me of a music video I saw. I saw a lot of kind of like homages to other films because the scenes in question that I'm talking about, they're kind of similar to other scenes that you've seen probably in other movies if you're watching this review. Um, Similar to some of those other movies, but it definitely does it in a way that is both respectful and not cheap. It's definitely not like they're just copying and pasting it and taking it. But so it's basically about the cops going through the tapes, and they start to find out more about the main character, one of the serial killers, and they kind of start figuring out more about his background and why he is the way he is, and it leads to some very messed up territory. It's a fair warning for people who do not like this type of stuff in movies. This movie both has a lot of sexual violence, scenes of violence that are eroticized or sexualized in some way, and it also contains scenes with bodily fluids and not just blood. So you have been warned. I actually watched this with a friend, and he asked me, "Is there going to be poop in this movie?" And I was like, "I don't think so." And yeah, there was. So as a fair warning, this movie is pretty gross. Um, but the effects are pretty good. But something I did notice about the shots used in the movie and whatnot was that they were much less graphic than in a lot of other movies. In fact, one of the big scenes in the movie, like one of the scenes you'll definitely remember after watching the movie, you barely even see any of the action, if you want to call it, like the impact or whatever. But it's still very grotesque and grisly and definitely disturbing and fucked up, if you want to use that term, because it definitely is. Um, but yeah, far less graphic than I thought. I mentioned the movie Cannibal earlier, the film by Marianne Dora about the real life cannibal. Don't worry, there's nothing as graphic as um, those scenes in that movie. But it's still very hard to watch, and I would definitely argue is more psychologically disturbing. And that was something I was very surprised at because with a movie like this, with found footage films, a lot of times the acting is just crap. It's just some white trash dude and his white trash friends making a white trash kind of movie. That is not how this movie felt at all. The acting felt very good. These people felt like they were almost real characters at certain points. There was a scene where the main actor in this movie was autoerotic asphyxiating himself, and it was real. He was actually asphyxiating himself with a sheet of plastic. That was insane to watch. Forgot that about these movies is that something I'm always amazed at is it's the special effects that I can't believe I'm seeing that, but the acting sometimes in these movies can really set it apart. And this is definitely one of those cases where that acting just felt like it was so brought so much more to the table, and where otherwise I just would not really have cared nearly as much. But because the acting was good, because these people really went into their performances, this movie was definitely like it was a good movie for especially for a horror film like this. Because a lot of these movies are not good movies. This one actually was not bad, um, except for the last 5 minutes. It introduces on the top of my head, I can think of three twists within the final 5 minutes, and they're all the type of twists that are just very big, like whoa, like that changes the tone. But there are three that are just boom, 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 and it's almost seemed like the writers are trying to be smarter or something and tried to do something more with the movie. I mean, that's not how the movie felt at all the entire time. And then right when those twists are just like, wait, like what is that? Then the movie is over. It's done. And yes, I have heard people say this. There could be a sequel, but based on the twists and the ending that I saw, I have no idea what that would look like. And that is all I could say about that. This ending is truly something to be seen to be believed. And that's a damn shame because everything else in this movie was great. To reiterate, the acting was great. Thought the writing for the most part was not bad. It definitely seemed vicious. The effects were good. Um, and the movie just overall, as a result of all of this, was just good. It was an impactful movie for something like this, and it was definitely a lot more psychologically disturbing than I believed it would be. Oh, and the soundtrack was good. It was a nice, almost ambient industrial type of soundtrack. It definitely helped intensify this movie, like a movie like this needed it. Some of the negatives, some people might not like that it's not as graphic as some of the other films I mentioned. It is pretty gross though. Maybe something that people don't like is some shots, or because it's a POV found footage type of movie. There are times when the screen is kind of fuzzy or blurry, and that's definitely to disguise the low budget of the movie. And sometimes that feels kind of like a cheap edit, But at the same time, it still worked because the found footage style worked largely in this film's favor. Besides that one thing, and in the final 5 minutes are just not good. Like the whole movie was good, I thought anyway, and my friend thought so too. And he hasn't watched nearly as many of these as I have. Uh, but yeah, those are the three major things I could think of that were bad. I would recommend getting this movie. It's a little bit expensive. This tends to fluctuate on Amazon between like $30 and $40. It's a good movie though. I would recommend watching this movie, especially if you have to watch every single disturbing movie. It's especially you should definitely watch this one because the acting is good and it helps people who've seen these movies. This is definitely one that is a better one of these types of movies, and I would definitely say it's one of the better pseudo snuff films, even if you can even call it that. Um, but yeah, I would recommend Atroz, released by Unearth Films. Oh yeah, I can barely show it, but like the cover is just really nice. I love that. But yeah, if you guys have any other movies you guys would like me to review, just please feel free to say so in the comments. This is Squirrelface signing off. I hope you liked the video, and have a good night, guys. Happy Halloween.